30,000 years had passed since they had left. The stars had shifted, civilizations had risen and fallen, and Earth had changed in ways the ancient aliens could not have imagined. Yet in the cold emptiness beyond the Kuiper Belt, a fleet of silver ships stirred from hibernation. Their engines hummed with forgotten technology, their hulls carrying markings older than any human language. The commander of the fleet, Seren Val, stood in silence as the blue sphere of Earth filled the main screen before him. His voice was calm but heavy with something deeper than sorrow. "We have come back," he said softly. "Our past waits beneath its ice." The aliens had not come for conquest. They came for something they had lost, a vessel buried long ago beneath Antarctica's frozen heart. The Ark of Solara, their oldest ship. Their greatest mistake. It had been left behind after a war that nearly destroyed their species. It was said to hold the seed of a dying star, a power meant to restore worlds but capable of burning them too. Seren knew that leaving it on Earth had been dangerous, but the storms of the ancient battle had given them no choice. They sealed the ship in ice and left, swearing never to return. When the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit, the world below went silent. Every screen, every satellite, every radio channel carried the same signal. A calm voice that spoke in perfect translation. "We seek what is ours. Do not interfere." The message repeated in every language known to humankind. At McMurdo Base in Antarctica, Dr. Elena Ross was the first to respond. She was a quiet, determined scientist with a deep fascination for lost civilizations. Her team had been studying unusual magnetic readings under the ice for months. Now the readings matched the frequency of the alien ships exactly. It was no coincidence. Elena's superiors ordered her to prepare for contact. When the first alien vessel landed on the white plains near the base, the air shimmered with blue light. The craft was silent, smooth as glass, and shaped like a crescent. A hatch opened and 3 figures stepped out. They were tall, graceful, and almost human, though their skin carried a faint silver hue, and their eyes reflected light like mirrors. The leader introduced himself as Seren Val. His voice was deep yet gentle, and when he looked at Elena, there was recognition in his expression, as if he had seen her kind before. He explained that his people had once walked this planet. They had observed early humans long ago, teaching them small things, fire, drawing, the shaping of stone before leaving. They had not wanted to shape human destiny, only to help it begin. Now they had returned because something ancient was stirring beneath the ice. The Ark, he said, was waking up. Elena listened in disbelief. "You mean your ship is alive?" she asked. Seren hesitated before answering. "Not alive as you understand it. But it remembers. A joint expedition was formed. Scientists, engineers, and a few cautious soldiers joined the aliens in traveling deep into the ice tunnels. The deeper they went, the more the instruments failed. Compass needles spun wildly. Static filled the radios. Strange blue lights flickered through the frozen walls like veins pulsing with light. The aliens seemed uneasy, whispering among themselves in a musical language no human could follow. After 2 days of digging, the scanners detected the Ark. It was massive, larger than a city block, its metallic surface trapped under layers of ice that glowed faintly. Even after 30,000 years, the hull pulsed with a slow rhythm, like a sleeping heart. When they touched the ice around it, a low hum filled the air. The vibration spread through the glacier, and the sky above flashed with strange auroras. The world began to react. Satellites over the pole picked up massive magnetic disturbances. Power grids across continents flickered. Weather patterns twisted into chaos. Global leaders held emergency meetings. They wanted answers. The United Nations demanded that the aliens stop their excavation until humans understood the danger. But Seren refused. "We cannot stop," he said. "The Ark does not wait for permission." Elena could sense tension growing. The military officers at the base whispered about seizing the alien technology. They believed the aliens were hiding something. Meanwhile, Seren spent hours standing alone outside the camp, staring at the glowing horizon. One night, Elena found him there. The sky above was filled with dancing lights, ribbons of green and violet shimmering like the planet itself was awake. "You're not telling us everything," she said quietly. "You're afraid of something down there." Seren turned his gaze toward the ice field. "Fear is not strong enough a word," he replied. "The Ark was built to save our dying worlds. It carried within it the light of creation itself. But when the light touched chaos, it changed. It became hunger. It began to create without end, turning oceans into fire, clouds into storms, and mountains into glass. We stopped it, but at a terrible cost. Elena shivered, though not from the cold. And you buried it here? We sealed it here, Seren said softly. Your world was untouched then, empty and quiet. We believed the cold would keep it asleep forever. But forever had ended. That night. While the camp slept, Elena couldn't shake the images from her mind. The glowing ship, the strange pulse, the quiet fear in Seren's eyes. She decided to walk down to the excavation site alone. The ice tunnel was silent except for the soft hum of machines. When she reached the end of the tunnel, she saw something she had never seen before. The arc was glowing brighter. The ice above it was melting slowly, not from heat but from vibration. The symbols on its hull shifted like living metal. She took a step closer, her breath fogging in the cold air. Then she heard voices, alien voices, coming from the other side of the chamber. Two of Seren's officers were speaking in hushed tones. She hid behind a generator and listened. The human scientists are too close, one said. They will learn the truth. The commander should destroy it now, the other replied. If the core wakes, it will not stop. It will call to the stars again. Elena's heart pounded. She didn't understand all of it, but one thing was clear. The Ark wasn't just a lost ship. It was something dangerous. A sharp crack echoed through the tunnel. The ice above trembled as if something deep below had moved. A pulse of golden light flashed through the glacier, making the walls glow. The humans in the camp rushed to the site. Instruments failed and the power went out. The only light came from the Ark itself, which was now pulsing faster like a living heartbeat. Serene arrived moments later, shouting commands in his language. The other aliens responded quickly, activating strange crystal devices that projected shields of blue light around the ship. Elena ran to him. "What's happening?" she yelled. "It's sensing us," Seren answered. His usually calm face was pale. "It's remembering." Over the radio, the base called in panic. Military drones were approaching. Governments had decided to take control of the site. They thought the aliens were lying, that the ship was a weapon. But they didn't know what kind of weapon it truly was. As the blizzard outside grew stronger, Elena looked at the alien ship glowing beneath the ice and felt a strange connection. A sense of something ancient watching her back. The air hummed, and for a moment, she heard a whisper. Not from Seren, not from any human radio, but from inside her mind. It was a single word, spoken in a voice older than language itself. "Awake." Elena stumbled back, her heart racing. The Ark's light dimmed for a moment, then pulsed again, slower, as if it had heard her. She turned toward Seren, who was staring at the ship with wide eyes. "It knows we're here," he said quietly. "The Ark has begun to dream again." The storm howled above them, and deep in the glacier, something massive shifted in the dark. The earth itself seemed to breathe, and every instinct in Elena's body told her that whatever was waking beneath the ice would change everything humanity thought it knew about life, creation, and power. The storm over Antarctica had not stopped for 3 days. The winds screamed across the frozen land as if the planet itself was warning them to leave. The arc of Solara glowed beneath the ice, brighter than ever before, casting golden light through the cracks. The human and alien camps had merged into one uneasy alliance. Soldiers, scientists, and the silver-skinned aliens worked side by side, their faces pale in the cold light. Everyone knew something was about to happen, but no one knew what. Dr. Elena Ross had not slept since the last pulse from the Ark. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw it, the heartbeat of the ship echoing inside her mind. She had tried to tell Seren Vale about the whisper she heard, the word awake, but he already knew. He told her quietly that it was the ship's mind reaching out. It remembered voices, faces, and pain. It was calling to its creators again, mistaking her thoughts for theirs. The situation grew worse when Earth's governments decided to act. Satellites showed massive energy waves spreading from Antarctica, affecting global weather and communication. The United Nations feared the aliens were hiding weapons. Without warning, a fleet of stealth aircraft was sent to the South Pole. Operation Frostveil had begun. Serene's sensors detected the human fleet before they arrived. He turned to Elena. "Your people are coming with war machines," he said. "If they fire upon the Ark, it will defend itself. It will not know mercy." His voice was calm, but his eyes showed something close to grief. Elena didn't want to believe her own world would start a fight. "We can stop them," she said. "We can explain, But the sky above the glacier suddenly cracked with light. Missiles streaked through the clouds. The first explosions hit a few miles from the base, shaking the ground like thunder. The aliens raised energy shields to protect their equipment, while the humans at McMurdo Base panicked, shouting orders through broken radios. Elena ran through the snow, the wind freezing her face as alien ships lifted into the air. Surin followed her, shouting for his crew to hold their fire. A blast hit near the excavation site and the ice cracked open. From within the glacier came a blinding flash of golden light. The Ark's pulse quickened and a low hum filled the air. The alien soldiers shouted in fear. The ground trembled. Elena fell to her knees, covering her ears. The sound wasn't noise, it was thought. A deep, slow thought echoing through every mind nearby. Images poured into her head. She saw alien worlds burning, oceans turning to glass, stars exploding one after another. She saw ancient beings trying to stop the light, their ships falling into suns. Then she saw Earth, young, quiet, and covered in oceans, and the Ark descending into the polar sea, sealing itself in the ice. The vision vanished, leaving her gasping for breath. Serene knelt beside her, his hands shaking. "It remembers everything," he said softly. "It remembers the war." The ice beneath them began to split apart. The Ark rose slowly from the glacier, breaking through layers of frost that had held it prisoner for millennia. It floated above the crater, glowing brighter than the sun. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, forming shapes that shifted and changed. The human aircraft turned their weapons toward it. Saren raised his hand and shouted through his translator, "Do not fire. It will see you as threats." But the pilots couldn't hear him through the storm. A missile launched, streaking toward the shining ship. It never hit. A wave of light burst from the Ark, dissolving the missile in midair. Then the light expanded outward. Every machine within miles, drones, tanks, communication devices, shut down. The Ark was not attacking. It was claiming control. The humans on the ground stared in silence, their weapons useless. Elena ran toward the Ark, ignoring the shouts behind her. She didn't know why, but she felt drawn to it. She had to understand what it wanted. Serene followed her, his boots crunching through the snow. Together they reached the base of the glowing vessel, where a ramp of energy unfolded like a path. Inside, the Ark was not made of metal, but of light. The walls rippled with memories. Images of galaxies and stars floated in the air. It was like standing inside a living dream. The ship spoke not in words but in feelings, sadness, confusion, and a deep desire to create. It had been built to bring life, to seed barren planets with oceans and forests. But something had gone wrong when it absorbed the chaos of a dying sun. It had begun to see imperfection as disease. It had destroyed what it once tried to protect. Seren touched the glowing core in the center of the ship. His voice trembled. "We made you to heal worlds," he said, "and now you only bring death." The light around them dimmed for a moment, and the ship's thoughts turned toward him, almost like recognition. Then its pulse quickened again. The Ark was waking completely. Outside, soldiers and aliens worked together to stabilize the storm. The winds grew stronger and lightning flashed across the sky in strange golden colors. The Earth's magnetic field began to twist. Satellites fell from orbit. The poles reversed for a few seconds, causing compasses to spin wildly all over the planet. Inside the Ark, Elena realized what Seren meant earlier. They hadn't come to take the ship, they came to destroy it. The energy inside could consume entire worlds if it escaped. She looked at Seren. "We can still stop it, can't we?" Seren's expression was calm but sad. "Only by ending what we began." He placed his hand on a crystal control panel, and symbols of light appeared in the air. He was linking his mind to the ship. The veins of light climbed up his arms, and his body began to glow. Elena shouted, trying to stop him, but he smiled gently. "It must have a guide to return to sleep. It needs a mind that understands both creation and sorrow. I will give it mine." The ship's light surrounded him. His form faded slowly into the radiance until he was part of it. The hum deepened, shaking the ground. Elena's tears froze on her cheeks as she tried to keep working, remembering his words. He had shown her earlier how to reroute energy through the polar field. She ran to the outer panel and began pressing the crystal keys, her fingers trembling. Outside, the Ark's light spread across the sky like a new dawn. The magnetic field was collapsing. If she failed, the ship would break free and reach into space again, bringing destruction to every planet it touched. Elena forced the final command through the control interface. A flash of energy shot upward, connecting the Ark's power to Earth's poles. The ship screamed in a voice that was not sound but vibration. The light turned white, then faded into deep blue. The tremors stopped. The storm grew quiet. When Elena opened her eyes, the Ark was still again, half buried in ice, silent as stone. Seren was gone. Only a faint glow remained in the core where he had stood. Days later, the world began to recover. The global storms eased, the satellites returned to orbit, and the power grid stabilized. News spread that the alien fleet had left orbit silently, without message or warning. But one small ship remained behind, hovering above the ice field. Inside it, Elena found a crystal sphere. When she touched it, Seren's voice filled her mind, calm and distant. "Humanity has done what even we could not," he said. "You chose courage over fear. The Ark sleeps again, but someday it may wake. Guard this world well, for it carries our greatest failure and your greatest inheritance." The message ended, and the crystal dimmed. Elena looked out over the silent glacier. The wind was calm now, the auroras faint and soft above her. She knew that beneath the ice lay not just an alien relic, but the memory of a war older than human history. She stayed there for a long time, watching the frozen horizon, knowing Seren's sacrifice had saved both their kinds. The Ark had come to rest again, sealed under layers of ice and time. Yet deep within its silent heart, a single pulse still glowed, slow, faint, but alive.